Hi guys, my name's Bree. You might know me as Made by Mummy on Instagram. I've spent a little while sharing my photos on Insta and on Facebook, and I thought a video might be a little bit easier, so get it off those platforms and onto YouTube. So here I am. Thought I'd show you around our garden and our little urban farm. And show you what we do here. Our goal is never to be self-sufficient. We realistically just don't have the time for that. But we like to be able to produce as much as we can in the way of our family's food and our needs. So it's mainly just really a hobby. So we keep some quails, some chooks, some bees, and we have our little vegetable garden. So I'll spend the next little while showing you around. We only live on a suburban block. We're not actually in a suburb, we're out in a small town in regional Victoria, but it is the size of a normal suburban block, about a quarter acre, maybe a little bit bigger than the newer ones, but it's a fairly small block and we do what we can. So the backyard is mainly the domain of the animals, especially the chickens. We can't really have much garden out the back because they just eat everything they come across. And the front yard is my vegetable garden. So we'll start out the back and I'll show you what we've got at the moment, and maybe we'll talk about some plans we have in the future. So as you can see, we have young kids, so a lot of our backyard is taken up with play equipment. Very soon I hope to get that trampoline out and into the back paddock. That we don't own the back paddock, but we have a little bit of use of it at the moment. The trampoline is on its last legs, but the kids still use it, so I want to keep it, but it's just taking up so much room in our yard. We have the cubby house, which eventually, when the kids stop playing with it, I'll turn into a chook shed, but at the moment they're still using it. And I'm up on my deck at the moment so we can see. Around the side here I have my temporary cheap greenhouse. Now the day I got it, I put it up and it was all good, and then I went out and we had a big windstorm, so it blew over and wrecked everything I'd put in there, and it ripped, but it's still somewhat functional. And it's okay for now. I have plans for a greenhouse made out of windows, but at the moment I'm just collecting windows, and then we'll decide what we're going to do with them. As you can see, it works. The grass likes it. So I just have a few bits and pieces in here. I'm keeping my coriander in here at the moment because a friend, every time I've put it in the garden, it's just gone straight to seed. So a friend told me it's because it dries out, and as soon as it dries out it just bolts to seed. So I'm attempting to grow some in the greenhouse because I can control the humidity a bit better in here. I've got some other things in here that really need to go in the garden. I just haven't had time to put them out yet. I started some new strawberry plants in here and they are just starting to come up. So hopefully we get some new strawberry plants, some lettuces and beans that need to go out as well. But I'll get to those very soon. So that's the little greenhouse. Now I had a bit of a, I just bought quail eggs on a whim, and we had a bit of a disaster with that incubator and only 2 hatched out of the 18 I bought. But I got a male and a female, which is great. She's just started laying about 2 weeks ago. And her eggs are fertile. I put some in the incubator the second day she started laying. I put some in, and they're starting to develop, which is really good. We're raising these guys both for That's Ellie, our little black cat who likes to terrorise them. We're raising them for eggs and for meat. Ellie likes to chase the quail, but we try and keep her out, obviously. So I bought another 2 dozen off another lady, and I've got some of their eggs in the incubator at the moment. They're due in about a little over a week. These guys have been great little pets. My kids love them. They're just so fun to watch, and they're not as noisy or as messy as chooks, so they're great little pets at the moment. They're easy to handle, they're easy to raise. They only take about 6 weeks to come to maturity and start laying. Mine took 7 or 8 weeks to start laying, but I think that's because there was only the 2 of them and they didn't really know what to do with themselves. They're beautiful little creatures, quiet and clean and easy. The only thing with them is that you can't free range them because they don't roost, they don't come home to nest. So you really need to keep them very well caged. They lay just in the most random places. They're usually on the ground over there. She leaves an egg. The first couple of days she laid in her little hutch, but then she decided just to lay in the most random places. So I always have to search for the eggs. She usually lays late in the evening, so I come out when I'm putting the chooks to bed and search for her egg. She lays the most beautiful little blue and purple eggs, but I'll show you one of those later. And just behind us here we have our little chicken nursery. These guys are just over 2 weeks old and they're having their second day out in the cage out of the brooder, and we've also got some little 4-week-olds here. These guys are all heritage breeds. As you can see, they're getting terrorized by our layers. These guys are all heritage breeds, so we've got some Hamburgs, some Wyandottes, some Arakunas, Wheaten Marans, a little Bantam Pekin there, which is the cutest little thing ever. These guys are in a really secure cage, because my cat likes to chase them when they're this little, and no doubt she'd have a munch on them if she got hold of them. But my older guys are about 6 weeks old and they're just past the point of being food for the cats. So around the other side I've got 5 layers, which are ex-commercial layers, so I've just got them at the moment because my young ones, there's my little 6-week-olds. My young ones won't be ready to lay for quite a while, so I brought some layers to get us through. So I've got 5 of these guys. And this is their night nest. And we usually get 4 or 5 eggs a day. And I haven't got enough hands to carry these. And I've got no pockets today. I'll leave those there for later. Come back and get them. So these guys just get fed on layers, pellets and kitchen scraps. Good way to use up all our kitchen scraps. As soon as I come out here with the bucket, they start running at me. They love it. Over here we've got our beehive. I've had this hive for a couple of years. It's been a great little hobby. We've really enjoyed it. The kids love it. These need a bit of work at the moment. As you can see, the pallet they're on is starting to crumble. But we've got a plan to move those in the next week or so. I'm going to move both the hives onto a metal table we've got. We just need to sink it into the ground, and we're moving our clothesline and doing a few other things at the same time, so it's a bit of a job. So this little hive I caught as a swarm last spring, the end of spring it was. They didn't do too well over spring and summer. They only filled up a couple of frames and they just weren't doing great. And I thought they would die over the winter. I didn't think they would survive, but they pulled through, and they've just gone bonkers in the spring, and they've come back, and I just cannot believe how well they're doing. I need to open them up today and check, because I only put that top box on them a couple of weeks ago, but I need to open them up today and check what they've done in there. Hopefully they've put some stores down that will get them through this next winter. Around the back here I've got a little garden that's a bit of an experiment. It's fenced off from the chooks. I planted in here pumpkins and zucchinis and things. I didn't know how well they would do, because this is a really shady spot. It doesn't get really any direct sunlight. I put some snow peas at the back there too. The weeds love it, and amazingly enough, the plants that are doing the best are in the shadiest spot. See, there's some pumpkins. So I don't know what I'm going to do here. It's really weedy. It seems every one I pull out I get 3 more come up. I don't know. It's a bit of a conundrum, this little garden. It was full of agapanthus, and we've been in this house 5 years, and I had been meaning to pull them out ever since we moved in, and I really just hadn't got around to it till this year. So everything I do here is going to be a bit of an experiment from now on. Go around the other side of the house. Now this side of the house gets an amazing amount of sunlight. It's overcast today, but every day it gets full sun all day long. So it's not really wide enough to put a full garden bed in here. So I decided to give straw bale garden beds a go. So I've had these guys, I've been putting blood and bone on these and watering them down for the last 2 weeks, and I just planted them out yesterday. So the idea is that the straw bales give the roots somewhere to go, and you sprinkle them with blood and bone and water, and it starts to break them down, and they start to release all the nutrients. So basically you're planting in compost, or what will become compost. So out the front my tomatoes weren't doing great, so I've transplanted some of those. I've put some bush beans at the back there. This one is all lettuces, and more bush beans and tomatoes, and some eggplant down the end there. I haven't planted anything in this one yet. I'm not sure what I'm going to put in there yet. So that's another experiment, and we'll see how this goes. If it gets full sun all day long, I'm really hoping they do well. Out the front now to my veggie garden. So out here I've got my potato tubes. That needs some more soil in it. So I don't know if you've seen the idea of these. Oh, that keeps falling over. But the idea is that you build some tubes out of just chicken wire, line it in straw, and put a layer of about 15-20 centimetres down the bottom of dirt. Plant your seed potatoes in there, and build them up. Then as soon as the green starts to come through the leaves, then you add another layer of straw and another 15 to 20 centimetres of soil, and keep building them up until the top of the tube. And then when the potatoes are ready to harvest, you just cut it open, and no digging, you just cut it open and pull it apart, and you get a harvest of potatoes. So that's an experiment that I've only just started. Well, I started a few months ago, but it's only my first time doing this year. So I've got in that front one, I've got some kifflers. I need to straighten that up, it's gone a bit wobbly. In the back one I've got pink fir apple potatoes. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes this year and what my harvest is like. I've also got some in the ground over here, just some that I had in a bag that had gone to seed, so I thought I may as well pop them in, and I've got some garlic in there too. So it'll be interesting to see the difference in the harvest I get from the ones in the ground to the ones in the tube. Alright, so continuing around, I've got some an annual basil in there, I don't know how that'll do. I've got my zombie mint here. This mint, it was in a pot that my mum gave me a couple of years ago, and I thought I'd killed it. I left it and it went dry and was just basically sticks. And it was sticks for about a year. I pulled some of the sticks out, put them in a pot and started watering it, and lo and behold, here it is. Started to come back to life. That just is a testament to the survivability of mint, and it will grow anywhere. This is why it's in a pot, because you can't get rid of it. I've got some rosemary there from cuttings that I'm trying to grow, and it looks like most of them have taken, because I've got a rosemary hedge happening out the front, so I'm trying to fill in some spaces, so I took some cuttings. And here is my tomato bed that I'm not really happy with. In hindsight, I put it in the wrong place. This space doesn't get sunlight until about midday, maybe 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and so it really just doesn't get enough sun. A couple of them are coming up now, but they're really not as far as along as they should be. As you can see from the holes, I've pulled some out and put them around the back in the straw bales. So, and I've got some basil in there as well. And my peach trees, these were given to me, I've just netted them yesterday as well. These were given to me as seedlings from a friend who they self-seeded from her tree. She dug them up and just gave them to me. And they're about 3 years old, maybe a bit older. And they're doing really well. They've fruited a lot this year, so I've netted them really well. So hopefully we can get some nice fruit off them this year. Over beside my driveway is what I call my Parsley Garden. I had a friend come last time I was pregnant and planted this with herbs, and the majority of it was parsley, both curly and flat leaf, and so far that name is stuck, so there's a lot of parsley in here. In the front here was strawberries, and I've just moved those out because it's like this garden is just full of slaters, and the slaters, they're not supposed to eat living material, but they seem to like to live inside the strawberries. So I moved them out a couple of weeks ago, and I've planted in some eggplants and some broad beans at the back there. So hopefully they're starting to come up now, so they're doing alright. I've got some thyme here, which has just done really well. And this has got strawberries dotted all through it. And there's some watermelon seedlings I put in here as well. Parsley. You can see the parsley is self-seeded from last year because I just let it go. Most of this parsley is like 2 years old. Lemon balm, which has just gone great. More parsley. And down the end here, this was just weeds, grass and weeds, until last week, and I planted out some peanuts, and I did plant some seedlings and some seeds, so there's one of the seedlings. Hopefully we get a little crop of peanuts from these guys. I can see a lot of weeds coming back through, a lot of grass. There's a lot of grass seeds, so I'm not surprised. But I need to come and weed this out, and hopefully the little peanut plants can do all right and take over. We like peanuts in this house, so I'm hoping that does well. Oh, chicken. And over here is my little worm bed. I got this worm bed only recently because my local council was having a rebate scheme, so you could buy a worm bed or a compost bin. We already have a compost bin, so and get 50% of the price rebated. So this is all fairly new to me, but they seem to be doing really well. We've got lots of worms in there. We get a lot of worm tea. They seem to be going along all right. Although some of the stuff I throw in here actually sprouts, which is interesting to me. And over on this side, I've got some snow peas which are climbing. I put them in mainly for shade because that's my bedroom window there, right at the front of the house, and we get the afternoon sun beating down on it, and it's just makes the house so hot. I've got spinach in the front there, some beetroot, some carrots, heirloom variety of carrots, some peas there that aren't doing real well, and I just popped in a couple more of those purple beans just to fill in some spaces. I've got more carrots down the front there that are succession planted, so they're a bit younger than the ones over here. There's another purple bean coming up there, another one there. That's a random pumpkin that I missed while I was planting out in one of the other garden beds, and I just whacked it in there for somewhere to put it. That's some silver beet there, and some more carrots, and there is another row of carrots down the front here that are newer. I've got some spring onions in there too, and some peas that aren't doing great. Now along the poles at the front here, I planted some passion fruit plants. Now what has happened to all of them so far is that the variety I bought was grafted, and the plant has died and the graft has taken over. Now that's not supposed to happen. It's not ideal, but since I was just planting them for shade to climb up the poles and along the top, I'm not that overly fussed about it. So I'll just leave them go and see what happens. You know, you can only do what you can do. Obviously that variety I bought wasn't very vigorous and didn't like the situation it was in, and the graft does, so that's that. This one yesterday, I just pulled out some wombok that had just bolted straight to seed. As soon as it came up, it went straight to seed, so I pulled that out yesterday. My silver beet's doing really well, and there's some pak choi in there too. And I've just planted in some bush beans, and there's a chili plant in the centre and some lettuces. So they've just been put in, so hopefully they do well in there. In this one, I've got garlic. There's my coriander that went straight to seed. So I'm going to leave that in and grab some seed off it once the seeds come out. I've got a few. This is a bit of a mishmash, this bed. I've got some beans up the back there. That pea in the centre there, just self-seeded from the pea straw I use. So I'm leaving that guy in there to see what it does, just to see. Got some lettuces and some tomatoes in there too. In this one back here, I've got my brassicas, so I've got some cabbage, some broccoli, and some Brussels sprouts. I put in these these little capsicums a couple of months ago and they've done absolutely nothing since. I don't know what I've done to them, but they've just done nothing. And I've got some parsnips, some little parsnips in here too. And these purple beans I just put in probably a week ago and they're just doing really well. I put in some lettuces in here yesterday too, just to fill in some space because it looks a bit sparse in here. But it looks like something's been eating these guys. I'll have to have a look and see what I can see if it's got some bugs on it. Don't know what's been eating it. So that's my garden. I'll hopefully put up some more videos of progress and maybe some instructional videos, although I don't know what you can learn about me, learn from me, but I'll give it a go. Most of what I do is trial and error, a lot of error, so hopefully I've got a few things to show you soon. Thanks for watching.